As we know, CNN is having a bit of an identity crisis these days, as it's been trying to find some sort of middle ground in its reporting, as it's been looking into having more partisan commentators and reporters on its show. It's now also looking to get into the late night comedy gig. And Fox News has already done this and done it well with Greg Gutfeld's late night talk show.
Is Greg tied up naked with duct tape over his mouth?
The show launched in April of 2021, and it wasn't long before it was bringing in numbers topping other late night shows like Late Night with Stephen Colbert. Of course, not to detract from Gutfeld's efforts and achievements, but one thing to keep in mind whenever reviewing ratings for Fox News is that they have practically no competition on the right, even less so now that Newsmax has been dropped from DirecTV, just like One American News Network. Fox News consistently captures the entirety of the conservative audience in this country, whereas on the left, we have more options. Not only that, but I would imagine that the people on the left are a little less zealous about constantly consuming news programs and a little less loyal to any one particular network or show.
Your world, I'm sure, has been just as nuts, but we did this together, and we'll stay together.
If you look at the audience demographics for Fox News, Pew Research found in 2019 that 69% of its audience is 50 or older. Pew Research also found in 2016 that older generations are slightly more likely to get their news from television sources, whereas younger generations prefer online media. Now, whatever the reason, Fox News consistently performs well in the ratings war, which really shouldn't be surprising at this point. That said, left-leaning network MSNBC is doing relatively well for itself. Coming in second in the ratings behind Fox News for both overall ratings and prime time, MSNBC has been dealing with its own shakeups, notably the fact that it's losing, slowly, one of its top performers, Rachel Maddow. Maddow announced last year that she'd be taking a step back from her highly rated nightly program. But something worth mentioning that MSNBC does have going for it is that The Beat with Ari Melber just hit a notable milestone of over 1 billion views on YouTube. Now that's significant because Melber is known for incorporating plenty of pop culture into his news broadcasts, bringing on guests that a younger audience would actually be excited about, think more Gen X millennial than Boomer Zoomer. And he's known for presenting stories in ways that are engaging and informative, but also fair.
Is this real life? Is this just fantasy? But this is real life.
Melber also makes a point to feature Republican guests on his show, such as Matt Gaetz and Peter Navarro. The online success of a show like The Beat supports the assertion that younger people are getting more of their news from online media sources rather than television, but it could also suggest that people do actually want to hear from the other side of the aisle without, the sycophantic bias that you would get from Fox News or other right-wing digital publications. Conversely, CNN has been going through a bit of a rebrand that was either prompted by or has resulted in an identity crisis. It's hard to say which came first at this point. Coming in third out of the three in the ratings, CNN has been waning in popularity for a while. It's let go of or lost several of its bigger names, including Chris Cuomo, who you can now find on News Nation, and they've picked up more conservative voices like Chris Wallace, who they swiped directly from Fox News. On top of that, there was the disastrous launch and embarrassingly short run of CNN Plus, the network's attempt to enter the streaming space. CNN Plus was shut down after just 5 weeks and $300 million worth of investment.
That debacle made me laugh far more than the dead crow stapled to Chris Wallace's scalp.
Honestly, though, you can't blame them for trying. At the very least, they were keen to recognize that streaming is popular right now. The initiative was there, but they lost it in the execution. Now CNN is exploring comedy. Maybe a resident comedian can help get them out of their funk. For this, Fox News has Greg Gutfeld, who I honestly didn't realize was supposed to be a comedian this whole time, but that's kind of another story about how the left and right no longer objectively agree on what's funny. Anyway, CNN is floating names like Jon Stewart, who currently has a streaming show on Apple TV+, and Trevor Noah, who recently stepped away from his hosting gig on The Daily Show without making any announcements as to what he plans on doing next. Bill Maher's name has also come up, even though he already has a successful show on HBO where he doesn't have to censor himself. And then there's Arsenio Hall, who took some time away from the spotlight, but recently dipped his toe back into the talk show pool with a limited run live hosting gig during the 2022 Netflix is a Joke Festival. He could be fun though. Ultimately, it'll come down to audience retention. Who's the target audience? Where are they? And can CNN meet them where they are rather than trying to bring them to where CNN wants them to be? I'm a pretty solid millennial, so I can say personally, there's really no one that CNN could bring on that would have me turn my television on every night. At best, I would watch clips of the show on YouTube, but even then, I probably wouldn't do so very consistently. Maybe Conan, I don't know, I'd watch him, but he's probably the least political of all those late night guys, even though he's technically not one of them anymore. I don't know. Who would you want to see hosting a late night political talk show on CNN? Anyone? All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like and subscribe and be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok.